Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. You see the thumbnail. The injury bug strikes again. Already had an idea that this was going to happen, not only to Darren Waller, but also to Graham Gano. Funny thing is, we already knew Graham Gano had this injury. We already knew Darren Waller was dealing with a hamstring, but we finally made it officially official and got these guys on the IR. Most likely Graham Gano is going for the season. Makes sense. He was already going to be scheduled to get surgery at the end of the season. Let's go ahead, shut it down, get him his surgery. That way he has I guess you could put him on the time frame of getting him back right at the beginning of the season for next year. And then Darren Waller, really not sure exactly what's going on. We know that it's a hamstring. We know that it's a different leg from the other leg. He said that in the report, and it's like you have pretty much a receiving tight end that was already dealing with a bad wheel, and now his other wheel. So we got a tight end on two bad wheels. Now I can see how people are going to be celebrating, Raiders fans, things like that, say, he's always injured. We spent a third-round pick for him, absolutely. At the time, it felt like it was the right thing to do. And even now, after the injury, it was still the right thing to do as far as a third-rounder. What he could have been. That's the part that makes me upset about this whole situation is for the weeks that he was healthy, he was underutilized for various reasons. You can blame it on the quarterback. You can blame it on the offensive line. You can blame it on the offensive scheme. You can blame it on the offensive coordinator or whoever is calling the plays. There's a lot of blame to go around, but the main point is we did not get the kind of usage that we should have gotten out of Darren Waller before this injury happened. Now, had this injury occurred in the same fashion, but he already had about 500 yards receiving, already had about maybe 5 to 6 touchdowns on the season, then it feels a little bit different. Then you feel like, you got a little bit out of the deal, and you feel better about it. The man got 1 touchdown on the year. I don't know exactly what his yardage is for the season, but it ain't what we thought it was going to be. And again, that blame goes around and the finger gets pointed at a lot of different people. So now we're back to Daniel Bellinger, which I'm fine with that. I think he was being underutilized because of Darren Waller being here. So we get to see Daniel Bellinger back in his natural position, or I shouldn't even say natural position, back being a more of an important role, or having a more important role in this offense, kind of like what we saw last year where he was starting to emerge before the injury, even after the injury. So shout out to Daniel Bellinger, best of luck. Hopefully he takes, advantage of this opportunity. We did end up re-signing Lawrence Cager as the second tight end. I still think we need a third tight end. You never know, and we'll see what happens if anybody gets called up from the practice squad. I don't know if anybody else outside of as far as tight ends go, if anybody else was called up. But when you're going into these games, you need at least 3 tight ends. You would assume that you need at least 3 tight ends, and we saw that last week. We absolutely needed 3 tight ends on the roster. Not just for the game, but on the roster, active roster, you need 3 tight ends at least. But outside of that, again, the injury bug has swept through the New York Giants locker room again. And just when you think things are going to get a little bit brighter because you got Andrew Thomas finally coming back, you got Evan Neal coming back, depending on how you feel about him. Daniel Jones coming back. You got all these guys coming back, and then you lose an important weapon in Darren Waller for at least the next 4 weeks, 4 games. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. As a Giants fan, I wanted to see all of these guys back together. I wanted to see Daniel Jones with Barkley back. First time those guys have been back together since the second week against the Arizona Cardinals. And the last time we saw these guys together, they put 31 points up in a half in a comeback victory. So we get to see these 2 guys together, but now we're missing Darren Waller. And again, that sucks. But I keep saying, especially in the last few videos, Daniel Jones got to see what this offense can do from the sideline, front row seat. Now, can he take that same momentum that Tyrod Taylor was starting to build and see what he can do with these same guys, these same pieces, minus Darren Waller? And hopefully, they do some things. I will say this too, as far as trying to substitute for what Waller can bring to this offense. Obviously, you know, you picked up Lawrence Cager, you re-signed him. I'm not thinking about Lawrence Cager in this role. All of those routes you expected Darren Waller to be, the crossing routes, things like that. You need another big wide receiver. I think you're going to see more snaps for Isaiah Hodgins. I think you're going to see more snaps for him. And yeah, I think that's the way you got to go. That's the way you got to go, and we'll see what happens. You know, with the Raiders, again, the Raiders are not too shabby on defense. They still got a couple players on defense. They got Crosby. They got Marcus Peters. They got a few guys in that secondary. They still got some guys that can make some plays. This is just not a give me. They have a new feeling, new vibe with Antonio Pierce as the interim head coach. We have to take these things seriously. We cannot take the Raiders lightly. And I mean that as a fan base. I'm pretty sure the team's not doing that. But us as New York Giants fans, we cannot look at the Raiders like they're wounded, you know, like they're the walking wounded. And we should just go over there and just run those guys over, which we should. I believe we should do that. We should be able to do that. There's no reason why we shouldn't do that. But you have to respect your opponent. And that's just something that we have to deal with. But again, this was just supposed to be a quick video, a quick update with Waller moving to the IR. You know, Graham's Gano most likely out for the season for the most part. And just wanted to get my thoughts out there and share those thoughts with everybody here. So if you're still listening at this point, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Join the family if you're a New York Giants fan, the way that I'm a New York Giants fan, and that's die hard, bleed blue. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also hit that like button. But I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. We got the Raiders tomorrow. We need a W. Bad. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Let's go.